the book engineering, it was like when it came out in late 2024, engineering was not a popular term, and we had a huge debate on what title we should put the book. Because at the time people were like, should we call it like LM Ops or something AI Ops, or it was like, can we just stay with the term ML engineering? And at the time, I was asking a lot of practitioners like, what term should you go with? And a lot of people went with AI engineer. And I thought that I should go with the people. And over time, I think people engineering has become a term that is pretty that's pretty well accepted. And I do think it's one of the fastest growing discipline in the world. So I want to talk today just a very quick thing about like engineering and the importance of data and product. And as the next, I will talk about like how to get started. Like let's say you are an engineer or you are not an engineer yet and want to get started in engineering. And as the last part, I want to talk a little bit about like what I find very exciting about AI applications in the future. We really have like 10, 15 minutes, so we're gonna make it quick. So I think this is one of the slides that I think that has been in the book is about like traditionally in machine learning, we start with data. So it's let's say you're a company and you want to use machine learning for the product. You would first start with like, how much data do we have? And then you train the model based on this data. And then you launch this product and launch the model as part of the product. So let's say that you want to build a recommender system. Then you might want to launch it as part of the e-commerce website, like Amazon or Netflix or something like Spotify. However, with engineering, the process becomes completely different. So now you don't have to build model from scratch anymore. Now you can, but you don't have to. So that means that if you want to use AI for the product, what you can do is that you can start with the product itself. So you can build our demo, launch it, see how it goes. And then if it does really well, then you might want to think, I want to improve it. So you start with the data layer so you can improve your product. And only after when the product is doing really, really well, and you realize that you've been paying a lot of money for model APIs providers like OpenAI, Anthropic, or Google. So what do you think? Should I start building the model in-house? So you might want to like use an open source model, host it yourself, fine-tune it, or like train the own the model from scratch. So the process now is very different. So you start from product to data to model. And one interesting thing about this model is that everyone nowadays, a lot of people have the same base model. Let's say you find models that works really well for your use case. There's nothing that will stop your competitor from using the same model. So model or AI capability is no longer the competitive advantage for a lot of applications. So what will makes the difference between a good product and a bad product is one, the product sense, how good you design the user experience, or like how well you understand the users. And the other is data. Like whether you can have proprietary data that can help you do improve the applications. So I think that when I started writing the book, the ideas that we have right now of internet data to train the model was still like shocking to a lot of people. But I think nowadays it's a lot more better understood. And because like a lot of models were trained on similar public data. So what makes a difference between a model, say by Anthropic or like OpenAI, is how well they were post-trained. Like how much of their data, and how they designed and gather proprietary data. And I think that in the super stream today, we're gonna have some talk on like how to use like how to do reinforcement learning, fine tuning, and that part require a lot of like proprietary data. So there's this product. So like one thing about data is that it's usually a organizational property. So people, to gather data, you have to see the data. Usually, you have to have like a product out, so you can gather user feedback. You can see like user behavior and understand like how they use our product. So data is very unique. Whereas the product is like about like the same. So the product is not just about like, okay, how do I make this product better for users? It starts from knowing the right problem to solve. So AI has given us a lot of incredible tools nowadays to solve, like to build things. So I think it'd be like a little bit like disorienting about how many possible things that we can do. So it's important to know like what should be built in the first place. So there are many different problems. It's important to understand like what problem we should tackle. So there's a very close relationship between product and data. So data allows us to build better product or even more product. But however, we also need product to help us gather more data. So like to be able to like really stand out in the AI space, I do think that we need to look into both. Like we need to keep launching the product and keep looking into the data from our product to like, get a better sense of like what works and what doesn't. So I do think it's like very important to just like start building. So that we can gather, so we can launch product and start building data. So I think it's like one thing that another. So I think we talk about a little bit about the importance of data and product in building applications, and we talk about like I do think it's like start building is something that if you want to learn about AI, you just start building. So whenever I go to like a conference and I talk to a company, a lot of people ask me, this is like, so what should I build? And that makes me a little bit surprised and also a bit sad, because I feel like we are somehow in what I call like an idea crisis. Like we have all these amazing tools and people just don't know what to use them for. So usually the advice I give people is that, and it's at least that's what I started with, was that like spend a week just trying to like observe what we do. So let's say that you start doing something and we're like, why is this so slow? So you might want to think like, what can I do to make it faster? Or you keep on repeating something over and over again. You might want to think it's like, okay, is there any way you can do to like automate that? So first of all, when I was writing the book engineering, I realized that I did a lot of research on different paper. So I was looking at like, so whenever I try to like, whenever I cover the concept, I try to understand of like, where does this idea come from? What problem was it trying to solve? What other solutions were there? So I try to read a lot of papers, and I realized that whenever I look at a paper, I read it the same way. Like I first look for information, look for another information. So I actually like use AI to build a small Chrome extensions to help me like just like skim informations from each paper that help me improve my productivity a lot more. So I do think it's very important to just like go through like the workflow and notice frustrations and try to think about like how AI can help solve this problem. And then whatever you try to do, I would encourage people to like try to do it end to end. So not just like test it out, have a demo, but try to deploy it and try to send it to someone else, like at least a person. So I think it's very important because it helps us understand the process of building a product. Because a lot of time when I build something, I have a lot of assumptions about like what works and what doesn't. But only when I show it to another friend that I realize, oh my God, the way I approach it is completely different from the way other people approach it. So it helped me improve product sense, understanding what users want. And also like before, I think one of the biggest things that AI gave me is increase my confidence in trying new things. So before I was always a little bit hesitant to try a new technology. And because it was like, okay, like, because if I got into some problem, I didn't know how to figure it out. But now with AI, when I get stuck, I can just ask it like, and help me work through the problem. It's like a very good partner to help me debug or like to learn new technology. So like, I'm a lot more willing to try a new technology, like for example, like new deployment thing. So the thing with, so like when you do thing end to end, I would say it's like I think it's really, it's very useful to just like be proactive using AI in the process. If you don't know how to design a logo, get AI to help you. If you don't know how to deploy an applications on, let's say like Android, try to get AI to help you. If you don't know how to build a caching system, get AI to help you. And in the process, you get a much better understanding of like what AI can and cannot do, which also help you position the future. And I think because we are at time now, I just want to talk quickly about like a few things that I'm very, very excited about the future of engineering. One thing is that I'm really, really excited about agent use cases. So with a lot of use case nowadays, AI has very, very, very few tools. So let's say you go to like something like ChatGPT, right? So it has a few tools, for example, like calculator. Then you ask it to solve a math problem, it can do it for you. You have tools like web search, so it can search the internet for you. Or you can have tools like image retrieval, so it can like retrieve images to help you with things. But there are many, many possible tools that AI can use. So AI can integrate with your like with your personal databases, with your work databases. It can integrate with your calendar. It can integrate with like with a QuickBooks. It can integrate with like so many tools that you use to help you become more productive. And with that, I think that's what a lot of agent use cases are, that you give AI more tools so that it can do more things. So I think it's like the explosion of tool, and I think the concept that I'm very interested in is called tool design. So the idea is that you want to give your AI enough tools so that it can do things for you. But AI, like human, can get confused when there are too many tools. So for example, I have seen a lot of companies. So one thing I ask a lot of companies is that like, how many tools do you give the agent so that agent have a high chance of success at using these tools? And usually people tell me it's like between like 5 to 10. And I was looking at a bunch of tools. It's like this big AI agents are using, and I haven't seen anything that have more than 15 tools. Because with more tools, AIs get confused and do not use a lot of and do not use a lot of do not know how to use them well. So I think and is that one issue when there's something like MCP? So when you onboard an MCP server, it gives you a lot of different tools. And if you just onboard like 5 or 10 MCP servers, the AI can accidentally get access to like 100 of tools. And a lot of them might sound very similar. And AI just doesn't know which one to use and which not to use. And it can hurt your AI performance instead of helping it. So your AI agent is an extremely exciting topic. And I do see that in the AI super stream today, we'll have a few talk covering different aspects of AI agents. And another thing I'm excited about is the use like AI in more integrated into my day-to-day. So AI coding is definitely a big thing. I'm very bullish on it. I talked to a hiring manager recently who told me that he considered it red flag if he interviewed a software engineering candidate and that person has never experimented with AI for coding, because he thinks it's like it shows that this person is not willing to experiment with new technology. So I think this like, of course, it's like debatable whether this hiring manager's view is okay or not, because everyone comes from different backgrounds, so that not everyone has a ability to try out AI for coding. But I do think AI coding is very, very, very important. Then I do think it's going to change a lot of the way we work in the future. I think it's below entry barrier for a lot of people, but can also make a lot of people concerned, especially people who come from like software engineering background like me. Okay, so I think the last thing is also like more aspect of like maybe not just AI contained on the internet or on the computer, but also AI in day-to-day. So I live in San Francisco, and I'm still extremely excited to see self-driving cars like everywhere, because I don't drive. So being able to move without having to drive is like very liberating. But I do see more of like AI, maybe robotic use case, and also like more of the multimodal use case. We see like better, like it really surprised me that we have not had a really, really good home assistant yet. So we want to have like better voice chat, better image generations, video generation. It will change the way we create and consume content.